Hello, I am your host, Lisa Lazo-Forsman, Reiki Master Teacher, Sound Healer, Coach, and Creative. Welcome to Inner Star Wisdom, a space to remember the heart of who you are, embody your authentic self, and deepen your relationship with your body's divine intelligence. Here, I share about Reiki, sound healing, astrology, human potential, and have conversations with groundbreaking people who are living from their inner wisdom and creating life on their own terms. Together, we are awakening our light and co creating the new earth. I am so excited that this first episode is with my dear longtime friend, Vanessa Wilkerson of Heal Body Mind. Vanessa is a Reiki master, massage therapist, health coach who blends body mind expertise with practices like meditation, breath work, detox, and plant based nutrition to support transformation of body and mind. She has reversed over a dozen incurables within herself and is helping others do the same. Her connection to nature deepened in the early 2000s while living off grid in the Colorado mountains, where she helped nurture Tara Mandala Meditation Center and immersed herself in Buddhism, meditation, and the natural world. She has attended more than 50 group retreats within 6 years, did solitary month-long retreats each year, and became profoundly inspired by the study of the nature of mind and the natural world. One of the most pivotal moments in her journey came during an unplanned 4-day vision quest in the snow-capped mountains. Pronounced most likely dead, she returned radiant, an experience that forever changed her. Today, Vanessa guides women back to the magic of nature through her women's nature immersion retreats, transformative 4-day experiences where women unplug, reconnect, and awaken to their wisdom. Her next retreat will be October 17th through the 20th in the beautiful Palestine, Texas. I am so honored to welcome my dear friend Vanessa as my very first guest on Inner Star Wisdom. Welcome. Getting tongue-tied there.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am so honored to be here, and I'm so grateful to you for this, not just only this opportunity, but for you helping to bring me onto my path. You've watched me through the years with my passion on healthy body and healing naturally, and then this long sitting desire to bring others closer to nature. And if it were not for you constantly holding a more empowered vision of myself and asking me to do this, the first retreat that was last year, I would not be here at this juncture with you. So I also just want to honor you for all the work that you've done in the world with your very multiple successful businesses, including, your out-call massage business that you did so well with, and now 100% energy based and human design, and you have so much to offer in helping bring people into their embodied, powerful, transformative self. So thank you for what you've done for everyone in the world already. And I know you'll continue to do more.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I think friendship is powerful. And when we find people on our path that share the same like mind and like heart, you just never know what kind of alchemy is going to take place. And I've known you since 2010. And even when I met you, I was going through life changes and meeting at one of a mutual friend's spa opening. I ran into a lot of old people that were supportive in my life. And I was just really excited because I remember when I met you, I was having an aversion to caffeine. I was, it was just too much. And I'm like, maybe there's an alternative to coffee. And then boom, there's a beautiful woman who's selling mushroom coffee.
Mushroom coffee built a lot of relationships for me, actually.
Yes, and like with any friendship, there's these seasons where we spend a lot of time together, and then times when we kind of are doing our own thing. And um, it had been quite a while since, like maybe like I want to say like a year and a half kind of where I didn't see you in person, and you were doing your own thing. I believe you were curing yourself of an
Yes, that
incurable.
was my biggest, health-wise, my biggest overachievement.
And but I was busy, doing my own thing, coaching clients for the first time and doing 2-month coaching programs and 6-month coaching programs, called Embody Your Divine Design. And um, it was just the right time for us to get back together because you were in a better health space. And I was looking forward to seeing you because you make really amazing, healthy dinners. And we had so much to catch up on. So this is actually it's really, really cool just to see kind of the genesis of your retreat because it's been a long time coming. It wasn't just this one dinner that we had that inspired the event. It took a whole, your life, my life, all the things that were happening and these conversations to kind of intersect at the right time. So I definitely want to talk about those synchronicities and that night. And I definitely want people to know because I didn't even know why you were. I knew you've always loved nature, and I knew about some of these experiences that you had at Terra Mandala and living off grid. I knew that you had gotten lost, but I didn't know like all the synchronicities leading up to Terra Mandala. I did not know the things that were happening afterwards, and just these really important details that I was like, and I was like, you have got to do this retreat. Because, for one, when I met you and you were sharing about these courses, these online courses, and these opportunities, and, yes, nutrition is a huge one for you. But when you start talking about nature and, like, well, I could help, women get into nature and be comfortable in nature and understand why, it's so powerful and just hearing you talk about it, your whole demeanor changed. Like you totally lit up. And you're like, I don't know which one to do. I'm like, clearly you need to get people into nature. And even I need to get into nature because I could feel this barrier, like this breakthrough that I was, ready for, especially after going through my coaching programs with my clients and seeing where they needed to go into nature too, but I'm like, how can I do that? I can't. I need someone like Vanessa to
Here I am.
to now that I'm ready to plunge into this. So yeah, so this is where it all got started, and that dinner I think was in late January, early February of 2024, and I cannot believe
Yeah.
that wasn't that long ago. And so I'm looking forward to you sharing about how you got into this and why nature is so powerful for you and the women that you invite your retreats.
Okay, yes, wonderful. I'm happy to be able to discuss this because I realized that along my journey, I've not been great about sharing of myself. Even with my closest friends, a lot of people don't know about my upbringing or really how powerful my experiences off grid and at Tarmandala were, and even how deeply my connection with nature is. And I even almost forgot myself recently because since I came back to Texas, I haven't been embracing nature as much. And as soon as I did, the creatures started having these unique interactions with me, just like before. So, yeah, what brought me onto this journey really started with me needing to get out of Austin because of a challenging situation there with a gentleman, and I went on a solo camping trip. I wanted to get out of Austin. I was told that I was going to be moving. There was this energy about me starting something new, and I went on the solo camping trip. And little did I know that I would meet. I decided to camp because I was like, I don't have money for hotels to go for weeks, and so, I was early mid-20s or something, and so I went to through New Mexico and Colorado on my way to my final and attunement for Reiki to become a master Reiki practitioner. And that was in New Mexico. And on my way, I visited a friend in Albuquerque, and there I met my best friend, who turned out to be the best friend of my current best friend in Austin. They were related. I didn't know this until later. And she's also been integral in my life. They both ended up following me out to my next chapter of my life. So anyway, so I met her, and she spoke of Lama Sultram Alioni, who's a spiritual director and founder at Tara Mandala Retreat Center in Southwest Colorado. And so then I go on to and she was just like, we like were couldn't part ways. And it was, I don't know what time it was in the morning when I'm leaving her front door, and we're still talking and talking and talking. And she's like, if you lived here, you'd be my best friend. So the next thing I know, I go do my Reiki Master Attunement in New Mexico in a small town. I end up going to this off, like totally hidden medicine wheel to get my master attunement. The Reiki master teacher is telling me that when she goes to take people there, sometimes she literally cannot find it herself. So she always knows whether that person is meant to be there. So we get in there, do our thing, and then I'm like, I need somewhere to sleep. So I was like, if I can find my way back here, can I sleep here? And she was like, sure. So I got permission to hang. I hung like two or three little ribbons in the trees, trying to hope I would find my way back. I think it was like three or four. Um, and so I did. I found my way back. I only saw like one of those ribbons, I think, but somehow I found my way back. And I spent 3 nights there. And it was quite magical to sleep in a medicine wheel that isn't like open to the population. It was like a very private, hidden one. And the first night I slept in my car. The second night I slept between my car and the medicine wheel, just in my sleeping bag, no tent. And I'd never slept without a tent. I'd never solo camped ever, not even in my own hometown. And then I slept the last night in the in the medicine wheel. So then I go on with my journey, and I go to check out Tara Mandala that Ty had mentioned to me. And I camped there like a night or two, had a great excursion. I was like ready to go on. And then the nun there was trying to get me to attend the next retreat on Ilamo. And she read the retreat information, including the bios of the two teachers that were teaching. One was the founder of Tara Mandala, and one was another woman, a Native American teacher. And Lama Tsultrim Alioni is a Buddhist teacher, world renowned. She traveled through India with Ram Dass, like in the 60s. Like she's done a lot of amazing things. Anyway, so I leave because I'm like, no, Ani, I got somewhere to be. I'm gonna go check out this crazy town called Crestone and then head up to Boulder, Colorado. So I get to Crestone and I go to a coffee shop and I open up a magazine in there. First of all, I don't drink coffee and I really don't even drink tea. Hardly ever. These days, I kind of do. I open up this magazine, which is not something I do, and I open to a page and start reading. And then I'm completely overwhelmed when I realize I'm reading the bio of the Native American teacher that was just read to me the day before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just read this. Somebody just read this to me yesterday. I think this is your fourth and final call. I didn't hear the first three calls. And I was like, you need to listen and go back. I barely had time to make it back, but I did go back and I attended that retreat. And that was the Native American mo- uh, medicine wheel paralleled with the Tibetan Buddhist mandala. And there was so much psychology in there, so much earth in there, so much elements in there, so much, understanding of the five directions. A lot of people think it's the four directions, is actually the five directions. There's earth, there's five elements, not just four. And so, anyways, I was just really drawn to that. And, there were sweat lodges there, and just, it's a whole new world was opening up to me. And I eventually ended up landing myself in a full-time position there, living year round before I knew it. And then attended my very first powerful Tibetan Buddhist retreat, which opened up. I remember in that retreat feeling like, why has no one ever told me any of this before? And that's when my journey began to connect with nature and to connect to wisdom and ancient teachings that have a lot to teach all of us.
I know you have more to share, but I mean, that's a lot in and of itself. Like, obviously, I think about the momentum that happens when you're following just this inner guidance, just this call to go to New Mexico to finish your Reiki master training. I was just thinking, like, all my attunements have been indoors. I want to have my attunement outdoor. Like, I want to start, attuning my students outdoors. What would that be like? And then I think about too I don't know a lot about your background or your heritage. And just the fact that it was natural for you to sleep outside and natural for you to find your way back to the the medicine wheel, that indigenous ancestor that's within you, and whatever else. So I just think that's really fascinating what comes natural and realizing like you're onto something when something feels just correct and feels good. And I feel like a lot of people miss that because they're not following that intuition to help them open up and receive more of that feel good vibe that's always directing us. And I think that's just a really beautiful story of how quickly that happens because a lot of people get stuck, but they're just stuck because they're not listening to that call and just trusting.
Exactly. And I have to say, like the life I was living the 3 to 5 years prior was a very different life, dating a musician and taking forever to get through UT Austin Business School. It was ridiculous. And I believe it was basically getting away from that situation, getting it back to Austin and moving into like, I had just finished massage school. I was getting trained in Reiki and like really slowing down and really connecting with like who am I without all this other influences. And I'd never been that comfortable with nature. I mean, I camped a lot to race mountain bikes, but I always was camping with at least my boyfriend or a couple of other friends. And I don't know how I found the courage to just sleep outside by myself without even a tent. I mean, I had a tent, but I didn't bother. Um, I think it's something that's innate in a lot of us, a connection that we've lost. I mean, I think I had some level of a connection to nature because I do know in high school when there were parties, if there wasn't I'd be like, if there's a bonfire when I walk up into this party, there's about to be. So I think I've always loved the elements to some degree,
Yeah.
but yeah, what transpired after that, I think was my own reconnection in the beginning of this journey of me helping others
Yeah.
to reconnect something that we all have that we're missing locked up in these boxes.
Well, the story continues and it gets even wilder. So, would you like to share what happens after being at Tara Mandala and expanding their bookstore and all those cool things?
Yeah, so as Lisa had mentioned, that I attended 50 plus retreats. I did that all in a very short period of time while living and working at Tara Mandala during its infancy stages and watching it completely transform from having like not a lot of amenities to having like $1 million temples and stuff. But it was a lot to witness. And anyways, through being able, so blessed to be able to attend those kinds of retreats, when I realized the position I was holding, that the teacher was like, if you don't have to be working when the retreats are happening, you need to be at the retreats. And I was like, retreatants should not be shopping. I was running their store during the retreat, so I guess I'm going to be attending every retreat moving forward. And then I just, yeah, before I even went to Tara Mandala, I was called to do my first retreat, and I admitted it to my best friend Jimmy back home. And he was like, "What?" He's like, "You feel like doing a month-long solitary retreat?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, I'm taking you back. You're doing that." And I'm like, "Okay." And it was in that process I had the interview right before I went into my very first month-long solitary retreat, which I had huge plans to do a lot of practice and to continue to befriend my mind. And you can imagine what happened because I ended up deciding that I really wanted the job, even though I thought I was applying for a summer position. They were calling it they were calling it a winter position. So I thought it was just a position for a handful of months of the winter, but it turned out a winter position meant you got to hang out at the winter and not go home like some summer volunteers. So then I realized, oh, wow. What have I just signed up for? I don't know if I can do this living off grid in the snow and chop wood, carry water. And but as soon as I got in that retreat cabin, my mind was like, I hope they hire me. I want this job. I hope I get this. And then I had to tame my monkey mind so I could, get out of everything I wanted to out of my first month-long solitary retreat, which was in a beautiful tiny little cabin on this ridge. It's actually on the retreat page if anyone ever wants to see it. It had a rock vein running through it. And then, yeah, and
Question.
then it led into later the vision quest that I can share about when you're ready to hear about that.
When you say month-long solitary retreat, is that no talking to anybody for a whole entire month?
Yes, it's you, yourself, in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. At least you have shelter. In a vision quest, you have no shelter and you have no food.
Did that whole
Um,
journey from nothing to 30 days?
yeah, so I'd done two meditation retreat. And no, I'd done, oh, I can't remember if I'd done one or two meditate. I know I'd done the Native American medicine wheel one. I think I'd maybe done the first Tibetan retreat. Yeah, when I went into the first month long, I brought my best friend Jimmy back because he was about to buy land in near Santa Fe area. And I was like, before you buy land in Santa Fe, you got to come check out this land in Pagosa. It's not as dry. It's Colorado. It still has a lot of the deserty of New Mexico. And anyways, he ended up buying land there. Him and both of them, Jimmy and Ty, followed me out there and both built houses. It was the wildest journey. I didn't want them to come because I was so deep into my practice. I'm like, no, no, I don't want the distraction. But I'm really glad that they came. Um, so yes, it was a month by me and myself in a cabin, way out. They brought me, I think I just came in with all the food that I needed. I've done in the month longs. Oh, actually, they would bring food once a week, and it's just you and your practice and you befriending your mind. And you can hike, read only like spiritual books, but really and you can journal, but it's really more about practice, like application of you working with mind. And also for me, it was also embracing nature.
Oh. Yeah,
No phones, no internet, no, you know, running water, no electricity, none of that, like off grid.
so I'm just curious, what was the most difficult thing about your first month-long retreat that you remember?
Ironically, I really didn't think there was anything. The hardest part, I think, was settling my mind initially because as much as I did not want to be applying for a year-round position, living off grid, uh, in those types of environments, I grew up in Venezuela and then Houston, I'm like, Colorado, snow year-round. It was taming my mind. That was a big part. And then feeling like I couldn't get enough practice in. I wanted to do like I had certain mantras I wanted to do in my Tibetan practice and certain sitting that I wanted to do. Yeah, I don't know why that I wasn't really like afraid.
Well, that's good. I mean, what do you feel like you got the most out of from that experience?
It was for me just a full coming back to myself, like really slowing down, letting go of the material world and just sitting. Embracing these new practices it was really just one practice, embracing that practice, which was tied to the five elements and wisdoms and poisons, and that are corresponding to the mandala. But it was just realizing I didn't need anything else.
Yeah. And I just want to say a lot of people don't get that opportunity, but your life is pretty special because the first part of your life growing up was, I don't wish that upon any child. And so I am just piecing it together, like the gift, how your life changed to be able to afford this time and have this opportunity to have solitude and reconnect with nature. And I feel like people who go through really difficult, traumatic times, that it's not in vain. There's a reason. I wholeheartedly believe that we're here to really deeply experience human life, and yours um, was for a very deep and dear cause that is still unfolding. You know, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
so grateful that that you got to experience that, because it's such a gift of what is possible. And the story continues.
that is where my healing journey began. I mean, it began with massage school. It began with getting out of a unhealthy relationship and um, deciding to finish school, that I dropped out of college. And yeah, really, then boom, then I was there. I'd never done therapy or anything. And so it was kind of, I didn't, that's a whole nother story for later, but realized I was doing wilderness therapy on myself, not knowing it was a thing until I ended up meeting my ex-boyfriend, Aaron, who was in the midst of creating the first holistic wilderness therapy program rather than the boot camp wilderness therapy program. So it's like fix my kid and send him back. The wealthy families, it's instead like, no, you need to be part of the process and realize that you might even be part of the problem, and using the nature as part of healing meditation, even things like passing the talking stick like the natives did, yoga daily in the field, eating really healthy organic foods, and then having the permission to eat whatever bad food you want and seeing how your body responds to it. And yeah, it was like really interesting meeting him at that point and realizing like, oh, I'm doing wilderness therapy on myself and didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah,
So many synchronicities.
yes. So share about how this experience of getting lost in the wilderness.
Yeah. So that is probably my most precious moment in my life. It's interesting because my friend Ty thinks it's like this traumatic experience. I still think she doesn't get it. I'll have to have a talk with her on that. But yeah, that's when really I was really tested at a whole new level. And because I like showed up so powerfully, like it's not that you wouldn't either. It's just like my survival self showed up and my tapped in, tuned in, turned on person showed up, and the essence of myself that I don't even know, like all it was me remembering myself. And um yeah, so I went on a day hike that turned into 4 days. And I remembered I wasn't even going to do it. I'd just gone on a hike. One of my dear friends, Kimberly, was visiting from Taos, the retreat land at Tara Mandala, visiting me there. And she wanted to come back a few weeks later and go hiking. She wanted me to go find us a new trail. And I was like, girl, I don't hike by myself. And I only mountain bike trails that are circles. I was like, I'm challenged. So, anyways, she's like, I don't even think about that kind of stuff. So I guess I felt kind of challenged and called out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Of course, I chose like the 6 hour hike up. There's snow still on the ground. The nipple on my camelback was moldy because I hadn't used it in so long. And I stopped at a mountain store on the way out and wanted to buy just a nipple. And because it was a small town, they didn't even sell just that part of the camelback. It's like I had to buy a whole new camelback. And I'm like, I'm not buying a whole new camelback just to do one hike. And so they actually had a spare one in the office. So the next thing I know, I'm in their office talking to them, and I clean it. They just gift me one. I clean it really well, and I go on my way, which ends up being key in how I was rescued. because 4 days, 3 nights, I was out in the wilderness, and I definitely do not think it was an accident. I know where the owners and managers of the mountain store told me where they turned around, which was right before the notch that opened up to a beautiful lake called Quartz Lake. And I was like, I am not going this far and not getting to that lake. So I went all the way to the lake, and the trail started to disappear because of the snow. So I just always went above the snow and was like, could barely see the brown patches to follow the trail to get to the lake. That all worked beautifully. Lay down my shawl, and it was like a tapestry, and I laid that down and did my main practice, which just so happened to be connected to lion energy and lion dakini per se. And I am about 20-30 minutes into my practice, and a lion appears. And I'm going to keep this story short because this is a whole nother, but a lion appears perched up on this huge boulder, and I'm like, what the? Long story short, I was like, what are you going to do? Run? You are doing a lion practice. Just keep doing the practice. So that's what I did. Um, and then right as I was wrapping up, right before I wrapped up the practice, they departed. A storm rolled in. I saw very dark clouds, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get out of here. I'd marked rocks that I thought I knew my way out, and I was lost. And for a moment, my heart, suddenly I was in trees, and I knew that I had come in way above tree line, and my heart started to pound for a moment, like you're probably sleeping out here.
Thank goodness you've done it before. Well, not there, but in the medicine wheel.
Yeah, thank God that wasn't my first time. And I even remember thinking mountain lions, tigers, and bears. Oh no.
I would have freaked out at the first one. That's, I mean, I hear your story. I know there's more. I remember thinking, like, how would I have responded? You know, she is freaking amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm having tears.
So the clouds are coming in, it's dark, your heart's pounding, and lions and tigers and bears, oh no. And then that fades and dissipates, and your sort of instinctual, sort of inner intelligence kicks in.
Yeah. Then I'm just like, you're spending the night out here. You better figure this out.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm thinking about, well, I want to be above tree line. I would much rather deal with a mountain lion than a bear any day. I have a strong affinity to cat energy my entire life, and which is taking a whole new level now. So I get back above tree line, and then I see a blinking light, and kind of think that maybe search and rescue saw my car. It's really kind of a story for a later day, but let's just say I slept in 3 different places that were all very profound. One was so precarious that if I'd have fallen asleep, I would have probably gone down the mountain. And I had just lost vital stuff down that mountain in the dark. And that's when I was like, you got to stop. And yeah, to like sleeping in a cave the final night and having another interaction with a mountain lion right before I was found. So the odds of me having a mountain lion interaction before I was lost and before I was found, I never meditated the entire time I was out there besides a walking meditation because I was walking the whole time just to stay warm. Like I was hiking past dark and up before daybreak. And yeah, I don't know how much I should share about that story because I want to make sure we have time to talk about other things. Um, it's um, it's definitely a very sacred story to me, and I literally have not shared it through
Yeah.
for 10-15 years. Like I literally did not tell people because there's this teaching in what as you know that I learned through Buddhism that you don't when you have meditative noms, you don't share because that's your ego. So like a lot of my experiences I've not shared. And it took a lot for me to start sharing this because you don't want to leak the blessing. So you never want to come from a place of ego. And so, and it was just like, I think I was just also just trying to figure it out because then I met Aaron running a wilderness therapy program and he looked like a lion. And there was just, oh, and then he pulls this ring out of the earth that had my name on it, Vanessa, and literally has a planet that says ours to save on it. And then has like the women on the back of a mud flap with crazy hair, kind of like me, sitting like this with a tail like a lion.
Wow.
The woman with the long hair has a tail like a lion. So, anyways,
Yeah.
things can get really mystical and weird pretty fast when you start tuning into who you really are and your ancestry and nature and there's so much more to life besides these boxes that we have been trained to spend most of our time in. I'm not saying that we don't need to work in the office or drive in the car or be in our homes. And there is magic and love that happens when we're sharing space with people in these buildings or creating powerful businesses, but we got to get out of these boxes.
Mhm.
So, I'm trying to think of how I might just sum that up. I guess I will sum that up with saying that I was helicoptered out. Uh, I didn't think anybody was looking for me, and I literally thought the only person that loved me enough to look for me would be Jimmy. And when the gentleman in the helicopter told me there were over 50 people down at the trailhead waiting for me, I was like, I can't imagine who. He's like, I don't, and I was like, who? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, you're about to find out. So, I think I needed to know that I was loved. And that was part of what that journey was for. I think that that was an unplanned vision quest that I didn't even realize until I took a several hour bath in my spiritual teacher's nice, luxurious big bathtub. And her assistant came in and started telling me that she's like, you don't realize what just happened to you. And she started throwing things out like an initiation related to my Buddhist practice and an unplanned vision quest. And I was like, oh, yeah, 4 days and 3 nights. Too bad I didn't get to plan for it or have anyone looking out for me. Uh, but actually, that's what made it that much more powerful and that much more magical. There are so many synchronicities that even happened there, like moments I lost the nipple to my camelback down a huge cliff that I went down and like get to the bottom and it's gone. And I'm like, oh no, now what am I gonna do? I mean, obviously I could tie it in a knot, and then just untie it when I needed to drink from my camelback. But so many things like that. And then literally finding it with in less than 3 minutes. Like, what are the odds? If it had fallen, it should have fallen far away. Like
Yeah.
synchronicities are abound when we're when we're aligned.
So when it came time to this realization of putting on a retreat and getting people out in nature, I know that Tyler State Park was a place that you had a personal experience and another moment, if you will, with nature. Um, I guess it was the year before, like 2023, that July 4th weekend.
Oh yeah, because I had a major health issues to contend with, and including a broken leg and a full leg cast in between the moment I was called, literally called so clearly to do this. And then I'm like, do you guys want me to do this or what? I got a full leg cast now. There was many confusing moments. Yes, I had camped at Tyler. I had remembered that when I raced mountain bikes, how I loved Cedar Hill and Tyler State Park, and I was like slowly starting to spend more time in nature. Whereas when I first moved here, I was so spoiled with Colorado nature that I was just like, oh, it's only White Rock Lake. Oh, it's only Cedar Hill, and I had to get over myself and remember nature is everywhere. And I started visiting some of these places that I adored back when I raced mountain bikes and I had camped at, so I was comfortable. And so I had two or three camping journeys there. I don't know if this was the first or the second one, but I was camping by myself. I was laying in my hammock late at night, and the download just literally just came. Like, you need to start hosting retreats. I didn't realize it was going to happen right there inside literally a campsite, my first one. Uh, but it was just very clear, like, this is what you need to do. And then, it was, I started remembering, like, my Native American teacher told me it took her 10 years to figure out her vision. I was like, what if, I was like, I guess it could have taken me 15. Uh, and it was just, then it just continued. It was like, oh my gosh, you could do it right here, because I was in a very secluded, non-electric site where there was like very quiet on a beautiful lake. And I just started seeing how I could set things up. And even though I ended up contending with a very, very life-threatening, serious health issue after that, and a broken leg 7 months into that healing journey, which threw that healing journey into, yeah, I stopped the current protocol. I just figured, like, the universe must be telling me I'm done, because I couldn't do the protocol physically anymore because it was so in depth that I was putting in 8 hours a day personally myself on top of work. Luckily, I was only working part-time. And so that's when it was originally birthed. And it wasn't until I went back camping one other time that it became so after I think it was after my broken leg, I went back there. I was like, I have got to get, a break. That's actually where I broke my leg, actually. I think it was the same weekend I had the download that I broke my leg.
I
And I
remember.
went there for peace of mind because I was already in the healing journey and it was unsustainable and I was taking on way too much and felt there had to be an easier way. I had to, like, get peace of mind, get some clarity, like, slow down and reconnect and think of, like, how am I moving forward? And then I broke my leg. And yes, it was then after my broken leg that I went camping again, and it just continued to unfold. I remember one of the big things that happened is I met a woman there that had this beautiful, like, there was only like two other people camped out on like 10 different campsites, or at least 8 or 9 campsites. And a friend came to help me pitch my tent, because I had this really big tent. And then this one woman happens to come and ask us a question. She was a very beautiful, classy woman. You would not expect to have a tattoo of a mountain lion down her arm. I didn't know it was a mountain lion for sure at the moment, but I was just like, is that a mountain lion? She's like really attractive, beautiful, like, woman. And she's like, all smiling, like, yes, it is. And I cannot believe I did not get a picture. I have tried to find a tattoo as classy and beautiful of a mountain lion on an arm as hers. And it was very clear that universe, that spirit was guiding me, that I was being reminded not to forget.
Mm.
This was something I needed to do, until Lisa showed up on my door one day and reminded me again.
That was just incredible to hear that story, that you went back. Because Kevin and I were the ones that helped rescue you when you broke your leg. And so I got to experience Tyler State Park for the first time in the dark. And I remember having to go back to the campsite, um, because you wanted to make sure all your stuff had been packed up. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember just thinking, this is scary. This is scary. Like, are you sure you know where we're going? And you knew exactly where the campsite was. Kevin didn't even want to get out. He was like, you can go out. He just made sure that you were safe in the car. Not that you were scared. It was us. I was scared. And I remember going out to the
That's
campsite
hilarious.
looking, and I was just like, what am I going to see? I don't know. Because all I saw was like the headlights of the car in pitch black and bugs, and just like, so to go from that, like when you broke your leg and you were just telling me, like, I had this vision that I'm supposed to, like, bring people here. And I, but you just couldn't understand why you would break your leg, and I, was just kind of piecing some stuff together, and I'm like, Yeah, it's a bitch. The universe can be a bitch. And, but I feel like, and I knew because I'm your friend, and I share some of the same qualities of trying to do everything myself. And I was like, this is going to be a really interesting experience because I see where she's going to need to ask for help, you know? And I knew that for myself, I felt like I wasn't helping my friends and family enough. So it was just like a perfect opportunity just to do what I could to support and help you. And then, of course, you had a lot of many other great friends and neighbors to help you get through that healing process and getting your leg to mend. And the way that you did that, and researching and just making sure that you didn't have surgery and all the stuff. I'm like, man, she is so dedicated to holistic healing, 100%. And like, you can walk, you can jog, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can squat. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 doctors would have forced me to have surgery. And I mean, I was going to get surgery right there in the hospital if I was convinced. And I posted a picture hoping somebody was married to a radiologist or a surgeon or something and said I just got friendly advice.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, I just wasn't convinced. And I decided to get one a second opinion, and they actually gave me options. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think anyone was going to give me options. I'm going to take the path less traveled as usual.
Yeah. So I'm curious because so we ended up going back to Tyler Park to survey the campsites. And it was a challenge for me, like a personal challenge. Like there was a call to go back to nature. And if anyone I was going to go with, it was certainly going to be you, especially hearing all these amazing stories and just who you are as a person. And um, I'm curious to what it was like for you, just knowing that you were planning your first retreat. Like, what were all the different emotions? What were the exciting things? What were the fears that you had to traverse and creating that first retreat? Because we did it in a very short amount of time. We were at Tyler
Yes.
State Park in mid-April, and the first retreat was going to be in June.
Hmm.
Really hot in Texas. There was a concern that no one would come because it was too hot. It was like, is this going to be safe? Like it's going to be fine. We can have like water bottles and like, you know,
I'm like, I'm going to freeze water bottles for people to put it in their sleeping bags. I'm going to have fresh ice delivered every day. So we're on this cool 100% natural spring fed
yeah.
water that's beautiful, the most amazing sunsets. I just was like, I was called to do it, and I knew that that was the place. There was no question.
Yeah. It was beautiful when I
Like
saw
my
it.
tears are still messing with me. Uh, so yeah, I a lot came up for me, like I remember when you asked me to do the retreat, you asked me about did I want to do a vision quest after we had the powerful conversation about what my first course should be about. Should it be nutrition, healing based, or and you were like, no, you light up when you talk about this nature thing. And then
Well, you were the one that wanted to do the vision quest, and I was like, I think it's too much. I think we
yeah,
need.
well, you didn't really know what it was. I think you asked me to do a vision quest, and I was like, "Do you know what that is?" And then I explained it to you. Like you're out, you don't have any tent, you're out in the elements, you have no food, and you kind of looked at me, and I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "But maybe some kind of woman's nature immersion." And that just came out of my mouth in
That
that
was like an
conversation with
urban
you.
urban vision quest.
Oh yeah, I think I wanted to call it the urban. I don't know how I got away from that. I wanted to do yeah, I wanted to, oh, and I think that is what I will do. My first vision quest will probably be an urban vision quest before I do something way out. But that's in the making.
Yeah.
Uh, Women need to do this first, and I felt like uh, this was more doable, but I was still pretty insistent on it being 4 days and 3 nights, which is hard to get women to take time off work, but it is very difficult to go deep and really have, huge transformation if you're just doing a weekend, especially when you're off grid and you've got to set so many things up, even like your tent and then, the food, like it's like I make all the food because I want to make sure the food is up to par. I can't wait till I can afford to have like really amazing chefs prepare the food. But yeah, it was just like, how am I going to manage all this? Like holding the space, the making sure everyone it feels safe, all the needs are met, like the food, the ice, the keeping the food the right temperature during these temperatures, wanting to integrate with the elements and wanting, potentially multiple fires going at once. I knew I was going to need help, and like the most perfect person, Joshua Hodnett, showed up to help me with my first retreat. Could not have been a better person in all of Dallas. And
Yes.
then Lisa offered to help me, and it just started. I'm like, here we go. Just gotta trust. Um, yeah, so I was mostly very excited, but highly challenged. Like printers not working, just things, just a lot of stuff to overcome, and all the things that I realized I needed to put together, like I actually didn't have all my belongings went missing in Colorado, like 90% of my belongings years ago, which includes all of my teachings. So I'm having to re-put together everything. So trying, working to put an entire retreat together without any of your historical notes and all the logistics was a lot. So every retreat, there's been a new layer of logistics that I'm mastering. And this last one that I'm preparing for right now was mastering the promotional and particularly the retreat page design and web design, along with content writing. It's been a lot. But the first retreat, I remember being more excited than ever. And felt so supported in the journey. It was like people were showing up to support me, and then the women that were showing up to attend. Some of them my friends, some women that I knew, some women that I didn't know flew in. It's like I never expected people were going to fly in. So yeah, the support and the signs just kept giving me confirmation.
Can you share about some of the activities that are important to you that you lead your retreatants through?
Yes, and this is an area that I'm bumping up against even right now. I purposely did not tell people what was going to transpire. And I remember my second retreat, someone even asking me for a schedule, and I'm like, yeah. Part of me wants people to show up ready and open for whatever unfolds. And also, I think that the element of the unknown, because there are people that did not have any idea what was going to transpire, and when it did, they were blown away. So there's something about not really giving out all the medicine
Yeah, that's so true. Because people are,
pre-retreat. I'm
yeah.
starting to kind of talk more about, rather than just say integration with the elements, you know, yet there's something that is kind of left for those that show up.
Well, given that, can you explain some of the benefits that your retreatants will experience that they might encounter or transform after having gone through the unknowns of this beautiful journey in nature with you?
So there are elements of the retreat that are very soft, nurturing, coming back to yourself, to your breath, to the actual integrating with nature, the elements, earth, water, air, fire, space, ether. Yet there are some elements that will literally just have the potential to rock you to your core and bring you back to your essence, your heart, mind, power, and your roots. So it is definitely a transformative, eye-opening, reconnecting, remembering, profound transformation for those that show up ready to receive and to let go in order to receive. Some examples of things that I've seen transform is, for example, like like shedding of deep, deep trauma, very painful. Like we're talking potentially even things like sexual abuse, just deep traumas that people don't even know happened, being revealed, going all the way through the betrayal phase, all the way to forgiveness in one session. Or uh, another example would be like reconnecting to your roots and your ancestry so deep that the business you were building now becomes so much more clearer, and you're laser focused when you get back and your ancestors have told you it's okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing, kind of how my path unfolded. It can look like that for some women. One other particular scenario that I remember is a woman who I would say, in many ways, probably had the lesser of the natural connection to nature in the group of this particular retreat, had so much nature on her body and hair at the end of the session that I
Are you talking
was
about
just
me?
like, huh?
Are you talking about me?
I might be. If
But
you
I was
want to
gonna
offer that
say,
information. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this woman. She is completely reconnecting. And as I was looking, I was like, out of all the women, this is the one I would expect the least to be. It was, and you didn't have a care in the world about it. I don't even know if you fully realized it until I pointed it out as we were to coming together. Yeah, and even for myself at that, like in this one particular ceremony and session, of feeling like, have I gotten myself in over my head? Because I had like six different women in a process, at least seven women, and they were each in a very profound and some in extremely intense and profound experiences. And I'm kind of like, what have I gotten myself into? And at that, within seconds, was, when I was in this particular position, kind of keeping my eye on things and nature being there, and then just reminding myself, no, I was like, you got this, and Mother Nature has it and has you and this, which is my whole intention in doing it there, doing it in nature, because I knew that doing this stuff indoors was not the same as doing it outdoors. And I prefer to do everything outdoors, like everything, literally. I can't wait till I have a house that's half outdoors. So yeah, we all had our own transformation, and we all had our own set of challenges. Some of us more than others also had to deal with our shadow side and our dark side and our opportunities to transform those as well.
absolutely. It was an incredible experience, and I want to be very respectful to, the upcoming retreat and keeping the activities on the down low. The thing that I appreciate, because I've been to the Tyler retreat, I did not attend the one that you did in Palestine, Texas, and I think it's really cool that um, you're able to customize the experience based on the land and the offerings there. I know in Tyler there's a lake. There's not a lake on the property in Palestine, and for me, I'm not a swimmer, and I love water, but I'm also very fearful of water. And I remember connecting with the water element with the group, and it was such a beautiful experience because I could feel this energy of like, oh my gosh, especially when I felt myself having to join the group in my own little floaty by myself, and y'all were already like way out in the lake, and I'm like, I got to do this by myself, and they're way out there. So putting myself on this floaty and then kind of like, guiding myself, paddling myself out into the middle of the water. I'm like, how deep did this get? I had to stop thinking about how deep the water was and what happened, if I fell out, from my floaty. But it was such a beautiful night, and this all the colors of the sun and that sunset, and also too just knowing. the people that I was with, all the women, that if anything were to happen, I mean, nothing was going to happen, that I was safe. And that I had to trust my body and trust myself. And so I literally was just having to breathe. But I tell my clients, just relax, relax into it, breathe. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And I forgot all about it. And then connecting with you guys with the water element and just enjoying the conversation, enjoying the sisterhood, enjoying just the funny conversations that we were having, all these memories that were coming up for everybody. It was just really, really cool. And it's one of the many experiences that I had in your retreat that were really profound for me. So thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing that. I forgot all about that, but I do now remember us discussing that. Yeah, everyone had to get, deal with their own discomforts, uh, including myself, and just challenges coming up beyond what was happening within the retreat, just for ourselves and our challenges of being out there, or what we were having to contend with, that might have been out of our comfort zone. And I'm glad you brought that up about the land really does dictate, and I think that I didn't realize that when I started doing these, until I realized that the second one was going to be different. Because I mean, of course, because there was no lake, but it was also, it just, the land is part of the healing. It is part of the medicine, and so I need to let it speak and just see, what does it have to offer? What is it telling me? Because I always spend time on the land before to, listen. And yeah, so the second retreat was definitely very different. There was some elements that were the same, but still different. Even the elements that were saying the same were very different. And yeah, and the other thing that to note I thought was really funny is that Tyler is where I broke my leg. And Tyler, I got better care in Tyler than I would have ever gotten in Dallas. For any women that are worried about retreats and what if I have a poisonous encounter with an poisonous animal, insect or whatever, the care in Tyler, I'm telling you, I was in and out of that hospital so swiftly. And this in Palestine, where this next one is, the retreat's not actually in Palestine. It's 10 minutes outside in a very small town, 10 minutes from Palestine. But the hospital is less than 10 minutes from the retreat site. And I bet you their care is just as good. Not to bring up that anything will go wrong. Yet, I want people to understand that, like, there is a team that is holding space. This is not my first rodeo. I may be somewhat new at holding retreats, but I have spent many a night alone in nature at this point. I mean, I lived off grid for over 5, 6 years, with no amenities and like no running water, no electricity, no place sink, no refrigerator. Like I had a refrigerator and a sink the last year. So, and I will always have the proper support on hand to help guide us and to handle any emergencies, and to make sure that if there's suddenly food missing or ice or water, it will be there within 30 minutes to, and 45 minutes, we will have what we need back at the site.
Well,
So
speaking of that,
it's your,
I'm sorry, I'm going to
oh,
interrupt.
I was just going to say, so you can let go and be present and allow the magic to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, speaking to that, I'm curious is there a certain type of woman that, when I say a certain type of woman, like a certain type of physical fitness or level of being outside to attend your retreats, or if someone's hesitant? I mean, those are two different things, hesitant versus like the kind of shape someone should be in or could be in to attend your retreat. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I answered this question on the retreat page. It's very long, but I wanted to make sure and answer any questions, objections, anything that's in your way on the retreat page. And there are tabs at top that you can hit to just get to what are the benefits, what are the frequently asked questions. You do not need to be in any particular type of shape for this retreat, and it's not going to be in the hotter months, this one especially. So, but even again at Tyler, I will probably do it a few weeks earlier next year in Ty if I ever do that area again. But the one one thing to realize is that as long as you can walk around your neighborhood, if you can walk 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, you're good. So from the women's yurts to the main ceremony area, it's no more than a 10 to 15-minute walk. It's probably more like 10 minutes. And you might walk back and forth, um, come down in the morning, you could maybe go back once in the afternoon and then come back again in the evening. So no more than 3 trips. There's only a single outhouse at this first Palestine retreat. Now there are official bathrooms, even though part of me doesn't want everyone to use the showers. I want them to use the outdoor showers that I've created. So we'll see who's adventurous enough to still at least use one of the outdoor showers, because showering in a box outside in nature is one thing, but showering like right underneath the tree is a whole nother thing. So yeah, the shape, you just need to be able to walk 10 to 15 minutes. You need to be able to trust yourself in the process and um, be able to, and you'll receive tools while you're there to know how to come back to your breath, how to just trust. And, there's things in place, bear horns and whistles and things that if you feel scared or need help. So there's protocol in place. But really, you just need to be in enough physical shape to walk 10 to 15 minutes and be able to trust and show up ready to let go and step into the magic. And the women I'd say that would be called to this are women that either already have a connection to nature, but realize that most of the time that they're in, if not every time they're in nature, they're either on a patio, sharing food or drinks with people, they're walking their dog, they're doing yoga, they're always doing hiking. They're not really stopping and connecting with nature. They're taking in the view, sometimes, but not really just being still with nature, and that they see the value of that and might even be craving it. Maybe not until hearing of the option and now craving it, or just thinking, that makes a little bit of sense. But I truly believe that if we're not connected to nature, we're not truly connected to ourselves. Nature is the closest thing to God, in my opinion. It's made of the same five elements that we are and others, but the five core elements of the earth are no different than what we're composed of. I mean, you see it in Chinese medicine, you see it in Ayurvedic, you see it it's everywhere. Like this is our essence that we have to get back to. So a lot of healer types will be drawn to this. A lot of people that hold space, like therapists and things like that. But coaches and consultants, and also business people, because a vision quest is to get a vision. So one of the participants she got her vision became clear. She was, I think she kind of had some ideas, but it was a whole nother level. So that's also why I still want to do vision quest, because for a business person to go do an authentic vision quest, like anything can unfold that would be beyond your wildest dreams. I can almost guarantee you. I work cautiously about making guarantees, but I can't guarantee you a complete transformation, but I can guarantee you if you show up completely ready to let go and receive, something powerful will transform beyond what you could have ever expected. You will not be disappointed.
So where I concur, I will vouch for this because I've had my own transformations in your retreats. So where do people sign up?
So my sales page is at my .org. My .com got hacked recently, so it's healbodymind.org/retreats, and we can. I don't know if there's a way to. There's nothing you can. No way to really put that on the screen, I don't believe.
The show notes on YouTube.
Yeah, so if you put it in the show notes, yeah, so healbodymind.org, not .com, .org/retreats. And all the information is laid out very clearly there. It is a very long page. Feel free to skip around. I followed some strong guidance on putting that much information for the people that need that much information to make that kind of decision. You can just read the sections that you need to read and go on and enroll. No need to read it all if you don't need to. And please text me with any questions. I'm a faster reply at text, although you can send an email, and all that information is on the site. Mm, yes, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I just want to say something really quick to tie back to what happens when we talked about the things that showed up for me at my first retreat, the final confirmations of the ring and the primary colors. Should I speak to that?
Sure, go ahead.
So what happens when you listen to the call, for example, is that at my very first retreat, Lisa and I'd camped there. I'd camped there several times. There was no evidence of these primary colors, which are the primary colors of the medicine wheel and the mandala. Yet, the day we showed up to do the retreat, I don't think I noticed it on the first day, but it was clearly already there. But by the second day, I noticed that a tree had handprints by little kids whose hands had been stuck in paint and put on the trees, and just so happened to be only the primary colors. And I was like, what are the odds? And it was at the edge of my site leading to the ceremony site. It could have been on any tree on that entire area. And my site initially was going to be at the entrance, and then I was going to move it to this one that was far out. But at the last minute, with her and I game plan, Lisa and I game planned, I chose to be right in the center of the mandala, or the center of the medicine wheel, because that's where the ceremony site made more sense, right here. And that showed up. So when I was being challenged, I was like, just Mother Nature has you. And then I went back like 2 or 3 weeks later to find this special ring that my best friend Ty made me, that always had a snag on it. And I could never wear it because it hurt me. And I found a metal, I tried to break it down a few times with a metal nail file and never could get it. And then literally just before the retreat, I remembered I took a metal jewel class in college, and I had a huge nail file, metal, not nail file, but metal file. And I was able to finally get it down after over a decade. And so I'm wearing this ring at the retreat, and I put it in a cup holder of an ice chest and lose it. And I'm like, why did I lose that ring? I just started wearing it. Anyways, I went back weeks later. It had since rained. People had been in and out of the sites. And as I'm about to give up, I walk around the front of my car, and this is buried. This is a thick ring. It's buried in the dirt, and I only see the very top edge of it. And I was like, is that it? And I pull it out of the ground, and I was like, no way. And I was literally about 3 feet from the hood of my car and was about to walk around and get in my car. And it reminded me of the teaching, Think and Grow Rich, 3 feet from gold. And not that it's about money. That book is about the riches of life, everything, freedom, love, passion, family, community, relationship. It's everything. And yes, financial freedom is always a nice add-on, but it's about the riches of life. And that book has been more read than any book but the Bible, until heavy Harry Potter beat it out. I'm sorry, I have to admit that. And immediately I was like 3 feet from gold, because that first retreat had so many challenges. And I felt like this was my reminder, is I don't care how hard that was. Continue down this road, because the 3 feet from gold story, the people that had that land have been drilling and drilling and drilling for years and years and years and years, and they gave up. The next person came in and got gold.
Wow. I think
So it's important to listen.
I think it's so beautiful that your friendship with Ty was represented. Like you had her with you in spirit, since she made that ring for you, and she's one of your best friends that you made on that trip to New Mexico. And or was it Colorado? I forget.
It
But
was well, I went through New Mexico, met her by accident or not by accident. Then my vision quest my not vision quest my 3 nights sleeping in the mandala during my Reiki attunement, my master attunement to be to become a Reiki master was in a small town, which also just came on my radar because I just saw it. I just met someone who lives really close to there. I can't think of the name right now. And then Tara Mandala was over the border in Colorado.
gotcha. So
So all of that.
it's a huge sort of full circle. That ring is a full circle. It's so beautiful.
Yes, and only because I trusted, and like you showing up at my house that night and saying, I was thinking,
Yeah,
we were talking about what kind of course my first course should be. And then you're like, well, I was thinking once you're like, you've got to do it about nature. And then you were like, I was thinking, do you want to do a vision quest? I mean, like it all just happens when we like get out of our own way and like really look at what the universe is, God, whatever you want to call it, source is guiding us. And when we get out of our fear and get grounded, which is why I'm a big proponent of getting grounded in the earth, because that literally gets rid of all the EMFs and all this stuff that's like pulling us away from our essence and who we are and our own wisdom. That's like living in these lights and these electrical zones. Like it's not helping us become our true self, not when we're doing it 24/7. That's all I'll say there for now.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on to Inner Star Wisdom's first episode, because these are the kinds of conversations that I want to continue to have with the people who are local in Dallas and beyond in the world. People need to hear these stories, and I am so honored that you were my first guest, a dear friend, and I get to see you unfold and blossom in your power and hear your story and play this part, this shift that's happening for everyone in this new world. And on that, thank you all for watching this show. And please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm not sure exactly when my next episode is going to be, but I know who the guest is, and it's another dear friend of mine, Mary Geist, who is the author of Another Day, no, A New Chance Another Day. So I'm actually going to Houston here this weekend, spend some time with her. And she's another dear friend. And I can't, well, I know that you already met her at the
Yes,
circle.
finally.
Yes, yes. So anyway, yeah, so you'll be hearing a lot of great stories of some people who are near and dear to my heart. And on that note, have a wonderful rest of your day and evening, wherever you may be. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lisa. Good
Yes,
morning, good evening, good night. Many blessings.
many blessings.